Kamen Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Kamen Rider here with my review of Kamen Rider Build Episodes, I believe 44 and 45. I am doubling up. I meant to make like some sort of like tweet or post last week, but I did skip last week's reviews because I had an influx of regular toy reviews that needed to come out. I had a sizable HLJ box, not to mention the CDC exclusive, the CDC. I just review stuff for like the Center for Disease Control, whatever. You know, just like vaccinations, you know, sick masks, whatever they call those. Anyway, for Comic-Con stuff, so I had a lot of reviews, so everything got delayed. So I decided to buddy it up. But in the interest of sort of keeping things fresh in my mind, I watched them back to back. So I didn't watch last week's episode when I would usually watch them and then let it... So I watched both of them back to back. So I sort of know more what I'm talking about, but not really. Because I watched them yesterday and I already erased it. But so... Build is interesting. You know, that's it. Review over. No, but I am a little bit mixed on some of the stuff going on. The first episode was basically the fallout from the previous week where his dad had revealed his master plan to trick Evolt, and it looked kind of like he could be evil or maybe not evil, and he's not evil. So I was really disappointed. I'm sure there's people that disagree with me, and I know people have explained to me that like, oh, they're setting this up all along with Sento, but I feel like in these last few weeks, they've really just nerfed my engagement with the character of Sento. Not that I dislike him or anything, but like so much about what I found his character to be interesting for has been so watered down. Like we nerfed his old persona, like, oh no, he just kind of went too far, but he had good intentions. Oh, maybe his dad was evil all along. No, he donated to charity. It's like, I'm tired of those stories where it looks like somebody is evil, whether it's a relative or an ex or a friend or someone you bump into at the grocery store, and then it turns out they're not. Like, it's as if we don't want to reveal that anybody was bad. It's like almost like we're protecting the audience or something. I don't know. It just really bothers me because it made Build such a fascinating character for me, that and such a like almost inspiring redemption of him rising up as this hero despite all these dark circumstances of his past and, you know, moving forward. And now it's just, and it's kind of confusing what they're doing with like his mind palace stuff. Not the like the aspect of it, but I mean, people are talking about like, oh, but it might seem like he's good, but Kasaragi knows something. But now it just seems like Kasaragi's just being a stubborn bee. Like, I don't know, that could change, and we could find something else out. I don't think we're gonna bring back his dad and be like, haha, actually he was evil, but I think that there's a chance we could find out that there was something that Kasaragi knows that Sento doesn't, obviously. But I get the feeling that, for the vibe from this last episode or two, that it's less of, oh, you know, Sento still doesn't know the truly awful things the dad did, and it's more like, oh, he's just being stubborn, and I don't know. I just don't like any of that. And then he sacrificed himself, and because Evil survived by skirting a little bit of his DNA into Mad Rogue. Speaking of, like, I think I mentioned this 2 weeks ago, like, Mad Rogue has been so severely underused since his introduction. Like, he shows up like, haha, new suit, and then I think he popped up like one more time, and so this is the first significant thing I feel like he's done in like 5 episodes, is just be evil. And so he used his body and then did this weird thing where he like took back the driver and then transformed and the driver popped off and he became regular evil, and then like, so yeah, I was not a fan of any of the stuff with his dad. I think it was a huge missed opportunity for story and just kind of nerfed a lot of the stuff that I was liking about that type of story. And then there's the whole, I feel like we're in a loop with the Evil story, because I feel like we're needing to run out the clock on the series, and this is where I wish, and I can't even in a way can't fault the writers for some of the stuff. I mean, because they're writing the show, but it's really a tricky situation with Toku, because they don't just get to write a show. And it's even different than like something like, oh, okay, Netflix, you get 13 episodes, or, you know, CW, ABC, you get 22 episodes. Like, that's, sure, that's like a requirement. And sometimes writers can be like, oh, I only want 16, is that cool? And then it'll happen. But there is shows where you have a required episode count. But in Toku, it's weird, because you can get anywhere from like 45, 46 to 50, and you can't just write it. You have to be like, okay, you write the show, but right here we need a toy, we need a toy here, we need a toy here, we need a toy here. And then also, like, you know, we have to go this many episodes. So, like, if Build was done with its story at 40, they're like, we can't be done because we have 6 to 8 more episodes to go. So we're in this loop now where Evolt's like, haha, my evil plan is finally at hand. I have this Pandora panel. And then the writers all rider kick him and are like, we stopped you. He's like, haha, you fools, you thought that was the final plan. Now I have a different colored panel, and this was the true final plan. Writers destroy him. No, you idiots, I can't even believe you fell for that again. This is the for sure director's cut final plan. These bottles are the most lost bottles you'll ever find. I brought in Sento's great aunt. Turned out she's evil. Nope, no she's not. She's a good person too. Twist! And so it feels like we're stuck in this loop where Evolt's plan just keeps changing, and it's like, no, that wasn't the real plan. And it's getting really kind of exhausting, to be honest. I'm kind of over it. Not that I'm not enjoying the show in some form still, like, you know, because it still has some good action, and I really, especially, have been enjoying the character interactions. I think that's been the brightest spot. And I hate to be down on it, because I have loved Build so much in this run, but I've really gotten exhausted in this last handful of episodes with this repetitive structure. Because then, like at the end of 44, I believe it was, he's like, aha, now I have this new alien form, and then the Super Lost Bottles plan, and then 45, the most recent one, was basically him challenging the writers. He basically revealed himself to the world. He took the form of the Nanba Industries guy, or was it the Nanba? No, it was the president guy. And he's like, ha, I'm Evolt, I'm gonna rule you all, you know, and I challenge the writers to climb up the tower, and the writers all go to do that, and they're fighting their way up to challenge him. And this was also the debut of Grease's new form, which we saw scans for a little while back. I had a video about it. It's kind of almost meta, because he's like, yeah, I need like a power-up, because like fans have been talking about that. So Sento basically was like, yeah, I totally modded this Blizzard Knuckle, but you should only use it in melee combat and not for a transformation device, because A, you need a build driver, and B, it'll make you balls nuts. But he doesn't listen, and he uses the build driver that Sento's dad had, and he becomes Blizzard Grease, which I really dig. It's so simple, it's a pretty good last-minute form. Like, it's basically a recolor, but I like the way it looks. We brought back my favorite characters, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Triplets, which I still can't get invested in, but I do like that. I do find it interesting because, like, in the meta-narrative of, like, we know, like, oh, the main writer's gonna be getting all this stuff because he's the main writer, but, like, this like, build system stuff reminds me a lot of Drive, where, like, the Splash Driver and then the Mock Driver and Drive are, like, the most advanced system in that realm, and should be, like, the most powerful. But yet, like, then it's the older system that's always getting all the upgrades because of the way Rider works. So, like, technically, like, the Splash Driver and, like, the gel bottles were supposed to be more powerful and pure, but then that seems to not matter now. And that kind of just gets meta. I like how there wasn't even an arc for it in Mach, where he's like, I'm supposed to be using the most advanced Rider system, and yet I'm getting none. But so, yeah, I like that. Highlights for me was, I think in the most recent episode, was they were doing like a little barbecue, and Grease was like freaking out over thinking he found Misora's towel, and like trying to decide whether to sniff it, and it ended up being Gentoku's towel. And then Gentoku was gonna give a speech, and then everyone interrupted him, like he was gonna get all mushy, and he had all these shirts on the side. That's the stuff that I'm still thoroughly enjoying about Build, is like the intro recaps and the character interactions. Again, not that I'm like, oh, I hate watching this, get the screen away from me. It's just, I'm a little bit over it. I'll talk a bit more length about that in my series review, because I just kind of have some thoughts, or repeated thoughts, about how they could have maybe remedied that. But for now, I'd probably give both episodes a solid 7. They were both enjoyable. They had their enjoyable beats, but and Battlestar Galactica, Bears beats, and Battlestar Galactica. They had all three. And, like, you know, the character moment, it's just, I am a bit fatigued at it. I'm curious to see how that might change with the finale, if there's going to be any sort of actual surprises or whatnot. We'll see. But anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get the notifications for all my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out. I think I did this like a million times. I was just like, beep, beep, beep.